To be a fashionista, or a fashion society figure, or socialite, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of people think the key to being one is getting on best dressed lists, making it in number one in fashion ranking videos, and having viral pictures. Because of influencer culture, all it takes to be seen as a high fashion society figure is having the right paparazzi shots at events, and the identity in the person itself is the clothing. Fashion society figurehead, in the classic sense, used to be about a lot more. People had to have some kind of platform to generate publicity, assuming it's not the conventional celebrity-making craft like acting or singing. That could be being an heiress, marrying someone wealthy, or maybe being high up in some famous corporation like Disney or HBO. Employees at magazines like Editor and Vogue also work. A breed of style icon socialite were people who had smaller ventures that gained a lot of attention among celebrities. And Joy Venturini Bianchi was one of them. She lived from 1938 to 2022. Before I start this video, I have to say I actually encountered her in person. Go back to 2016, I did some catering serving on the side, and I was asked to pass out champagne at a Bloomingdale's in a public mall. Really? That seems so weird. I didn't even know what the event was for. People are setting up all these beautiful vintage antique clothes that definitely is not what Bloomingdale sells. And then this old, beautiful, stylishly dressed lady came in to set up a table to do a speaking event there. It was a charity shopping event to buy high-end vintage stuff. And also she was selling a style book that she was signing and talking about the charity she was fundraising for. It seemed like a very lovely idea for an event, but I was like, really? In a Bloomingdale's in a public mall with all these strangers just passing by? I don't think a mom and dad with a newborn child walking by casually are going to be interested in this. I was proven so wrong. This event was popping. This event was just off the hook. It was just so insane. The woman, Joy Venturini Bianchi, who that's the event is when I learned who she was so lively engaging. She worked a crowd. She knew how to make this obscure, weird party seem like a big it event. And people were loving it. People wanted to be part of what was a rare high-end fashion event in San Francisco, with style and classic designers, and all for a good cause. So people were willing to buy a lot of the vintage pieces. So I just gotta put that in there. And now this brings me to actually Joy herself. What was amazing about her is she wasn't a celebrity in herself, at least not a big one, but she had celebrity power in part because of her networking capabilities. She was able to legitimately network with celebrities. And I mean real ones, A-list ones, all while having done much later in life in her twilight years. And not even living in a place like New York or Los Angeles. She was born, raised, and died in San Francisco. She was glamour coming from an unglamorous industry. And she fused classic glamour and star power with philanthropy in ways I don't think we see anymore. At least, that was her original intention. Joy was born in 1938 and is a native of San Francisco, as I said. Her mom was a housewife and her dad, ironically, made shoes. She went to Catholic school. She felt attached to St. Paul, who was known for helping the mentally disabled. In high school, she volunteered at an organization called Helpers, which ran homes for disabled people. And at this time, having upscale homes for mentally disabled was not common. A lot of parents just kept their children locked away at homes, and given their lacking in professional training, the care was not of good quality. And later, Joy married, had 2 kids, and divorced. There's not much really else on that. But in 1963, making her about 26 at the time, she actually got involved with Helpers Charity. Not as a volunteer like she used to be, but she actually joined as an employee. It was actually called Helpers for the Mentally R-Word, but that name was later changed, obviously. At the time when she was volunteering for Helpers in the 1950s, Helpers didn't run their own homes. They just sent people to help at other homes. But she helped Helpers open their own actual home. And this happened in 1963. So Helpers now had their own live-in care facility. And it would expand to a total of 3 all around the Golden Gate Park area in San Francisco. And Joy was very proud of these homes. She said many clients grew old and died there. And these kinds of places are about helping the disabled live with as much dignity and comfort as possible. It's an important thing to note that unless state-run, these places can be expensive. Many people go bankrupt getting their kids into them to make sure that they have proper care. And if it's not expensive and not state-run, state-run can be sometimes really, really bad. Then there's the charity homes are then the other option. and charities need money, and charities fundraise like a fiend, which is what Joy did. But Joy, like other nonprofit organizations, opened a profit business branch. In 1966, Joy opened a craft store selling holiday ornaments near Ghirardelli Square, which is a popular tourist spot in San Francisco. Not only that, but this store had some major time in the sunlight. I don't know when the store closed. There's conflicting information. In 1995, Joy was in New York and saw people afraid of mice, and she was near a Bergdorf Goodman's window. And she saw mice as a symbol for the people living in her homes, because a lot of people are afraid of disabled people for no reason. And she saw the mice as being a symbol for them. So she came up with a campaign called Mouse Couture, which was little stuffed mice wearing a very high-end versions of designer clothes to show the bias and preconceived judgment people project on other people or things that are different. One, I love the name Mouse Couture. Two, this campaign was immensely successful. This campaign, there were a lot of different versions of it. She eventually got designers to license out their work for her Mouse Couture campaigns. And little versions of these mice were sold at like crafts fairs. Some reports say that they were sold in her store, but I'm not sure about that. But either way, this campaign was a big deal. I wish there were more versions of it I could find, but not much survived online. For a while, it became a very iconic symbol for the cause, much like the puzzle symbol is for autism now. This campaign just ran for a long time, and it was actually part of the organization Helpers actually up until the very end. I mean, fashion magazines talked about this. Again, Joy got designers to license out their stuff for this, including Vera Wang. In 2002, the homes shut down. And why Joy say they couldn't get qualified staff anymore? Not really sure I believe that. I mean, Joy was getting up there in age, but don't worry, that was only the beginning. There was a period between 2002 and 2008 where what she was doing was a little, hard to track, but I'll get into that later. But in 2008, the year of the financial crash, she would open a boutique, the Helpers Couture House. This boutique was a part of the Helpers organization. It wasn't just a normal store like her craft store previously. It was a special appointment open shopping experience store to buy luxury items. So think of like a physical store version of the Real Real or Net-a-Porter. Ooh, fancy, bougie. So why would Helpers have a new boutique and no homes to support? The Helpers organization, it redid its business model. Joy said she wanted to use the boutique so Helpers could find other causes to help the disabled. For example, she wanted to help provide wheelchairs to a hospital that would house disabled people. It essentially worked on a grant model, like money fundraising middle person. Helpers gets the funds from the business that they run and then write to checks to other charities that actually do the work to service people. And this boutique and Joy herself would drive revenue for Helpers and the needy in big numbers. Joy herself would advertise the boutique to get sales, so the money as a nonprofit, which is what the store operated under, would have to be given away to other charity houses and companies. With the opening of the boutique, Joy would reinvent herself as a fashionista and society figure to network with rich people to fundraise. And she did that with immense success I think we're all jealous of. We don't have that many stories of older people who lived a whole other life gaining a new relevancy in mainstream society, especially on the back of a charitable cause. In a sense, Joy just became another Mother Teresa, but dressed in high-end labels. I cannot stress enough how many celebrity friends she had. Stella McCartney was a patron of the store. She networked with the Sultan of Saudi Arabia, Vanessa Getty of the Getty family, Demi Moore, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Katy Perry. Joy was able to get access to just about anyone and everyone who had power. The boutique was like a shopping legend. It was more than just a store. It was an event space. It was more of a luxury fashion salon. Joy hosted a lot of parties there. Think of the experience of going into someone like Teresa Romer's closet. The boutique was 8 rooms and it had luxury everything, modern and vintage, for miles and miles and miles and miles. They accepted donations also. And this place was featured in all the major fashion publications. Joy herself was covered by them wherever she went to fundraise for the charity. So Women's Wear Daily, other fashion publications, they were following her as much around as other fashion celebrities. And as I said, the event I saw her at was a shopping event for vintage pieces at Bloomingdale's, and that was in 2016. I didn't know a short time later she would be exposed in the news. As I said, the homes and the business model shifted. The homes shut down. It was not about supporting their own homes. It was about supporting other charities doing work for the disabled, while Joy worked on the boutique to have the money to distribute. And the money was coming in. From 2008 to 2015, $6 million. Bianchi was collecting a salary of almost $200,000 a year. Take $6 million minus Joe's salary, whatever the other employees were being paid. I don't think there were that many other employees. The rent for the boutique space, I don't know what's left, honestly. So $6 million minus that. All of that had to be distributed to charities. Well, of that sum, only $400,000 was given to other charities, and that was only up until 2009. So that's still a lot of money left unaccounted for. Where was it going? My guess was to fund Joy's events, travel spaces, expenses, her personal wardrobe, and others. The cash donation records are hard to track. From 2013 to 2015, she got about $250,000, which went to a children's hospital to fix facial deformities, not to help people with mental disabilities. When this news broke, Joy defended herself and said her efforts were mischaracterized and the spending was all for the cause. She was traveling to solicit donations and get clothing for the boutique. I think her boutique was basically just her personal closet, and a lot of her travel expenses that were not related to anything business-wise were invoiced to the Helpers organization. Interestingly enough, between 2002, when the homes closed, and in 2008, when the boutique opened, Helpers was still operating. Joy said she was working on getting donations, trying to find a new home for the boutique, yet there are no record of any money given away at this time. I mean, Joy was shady about the finances the moment the homes shut down. Another shady thing Joy did is a friend of hers accidentally donated something and asked for it back, and Joy just sold it, knowing it was requested to be returned. In 2017, Joy was ousted from the charity by the board. Sometime later, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she died in 2022. But her legacy lives on in these amazing pictures.